What's up? I'm back. In this segment, I'll talk about bacteria a little bit. It's gonna be short and sweet, but it's gonna sort of try to be a wake up call for a lot of people. My other channel had an interesting conversation and kind of inspired this video a little bit. It's kind of dealing with that subject of racism, but from the psychological aspects. This is my health channel, not my occult channel. Racism kind of is like a cancer. You may think, because the thing about racism is that it doesn't really, it has ways of hiding itself. So, about 75% of people who really are racist may not even know it, or they may come up with a whole bunch of excuses of why they're not. And this is for racism in any color. They're not even aware of it. And when you start to get into psychology, it kind of represents like a thought form or recurring pattern that takes shape in your psyche. A lot of times what that happens is that it actually represents an energy that's much harder to clean. When something manifests in the physical, you know something is wrong. You know it's wrong, and you kind of say, all right, I want to fix it. When something manifests psychologically, it's very hard to fix. And it's kind of interesting because realistically, it kind of crosses over into the spiritual community and alternative health community as well. Because it matches with bacteria, which is what I'm talking about now. The human body is made up of, you have 9 times the bacterial cells that you have human cells. The human body really is just an incubator for life forms that existed long before anything else, any other life existed. In fact, all life comes from bacteria. Before there was air, bacteria were the one who rearranged our environment for air to actually manifest, before the plants were even existing. So realistically, when the first sane, like man, this word, sane humans come in and understand that, they know that they can never really, this is the realm of bacteria. You're made up of bacteria, basically. You're more bacteria than you're human. So sometimes that gets lost into translation because a lot of people practice spiritualities or spiritual systems that ignore the physical. But when you practice spiritualities that don't ignore the physical, and you look around, and you kind of see, wait a minute, I could look at the alternative health community, I could look at the metaphysical community, and who's the one actually catching up when it comes to advances in bacteria and understanding how they are? Science. Science is kicking the butts out of the other 2 camps I'm talking about. So when I hear people say they don't need science, they don't need that, they're beneath it. Science is beneath them, beneath spirituality. It just shows me it's the same thing like racism sometimes. When you don't really pay attention, you realize that how much mistakes you really have done. That's why you're here. That's why you're trapped in incarnation. That's why sometimes people are sick and they look for other means to get healthy, because you make a lot of assumptions without really exploring your environment. When you really realistically, what racism is, what not even understanding bacteria is, because remember, it's kind of connected. Bacteria is the first life forms. They're like the OGs of nature, right? Everything goes through them. What does that really mean? Think of it. Well, even human beings now are disconnected from nature. If we're disconnected from nature, we're gonna be even more disconnected from bacteria. So things like racism come in because of that disconnect from nature, to be honest. When you really understand nature, nature sees all human beings as the same species, for the most part, to be honest. And this doesn't mean ignoring racism. This doesn't mean being like a new age person and just saying it doesn't exist. Racism is a cancer that must be fought on all levels, no matter what race it happens. But before you look at it, before you fight it, you must look at it in yourself and see if you have it as well. Or does it plague you? Because what happens is it ends up being a psychological cancer where people can't even understand. They don't ever even want to understand metaphysical principles that come from people outside their race. That's from not being connected to nature. That's from not understanding that the physical world is very important to analyze. That's why science is important as well. Science looks at things and it questions. It wants to know why certain things exist. So when people want to know, they argue all these debates about health and all these other things. They can never really be a health debate because none of the people arguing understand bacteria. Bacteria is the center, should be the center of what health and diet's about. So you're supposed to look at this video, and I'm not gonna go too deep in bacteria in this video, but it's supposed to be something that inspires you to understand. We got a lot of things have a lot to learn when it comes to understanding the body, when it comes to understanding Mother Nature, when it comes to understanding ourselves. Why? because 90% of ourselves is actually a life form that we don't even understand. We barely understand the 10% human DNA, let alone the bacterial DNA. So in a lot of ways, sometimes when you look at it, we suffer from a lot of cancers that we don't even know we have. And I don't mean the physical cancers, I mean the mental cancers that eat away at us, disconnects us from nature, makes us assume things when we're not supposed to be assuming anything. And I think when you really want to know how far your metaphysics has come, how far your alternative health has gone, look up in your spiritual systems or alternative health systems, they're not the bacteria. Chances are you're gonna find nothing. If that's the case, you need to get more scientific. Hope this helps. Till next time, peace.